Right, guys, just waiting for the tag to come up. The tag come up for live. Unfortunately, Jackie is poorly tonight. We've got no Jackie tonight, guys. Jackie's poorly or a bit under the weather. Whatever the case, whatever it is, we wish Jackie well. I said I'd stand in and do Jackie's show tonight just to help things along. And as the shows are going out and there are members paying into a fee, we'd bring something to the show and carry on the shows. The show must go on. So hopefully Sue can jump on because she normally does a Friday night with Jackie. And then we can go from there and get Sue in. We did do something with Sue the other night when I unfortunately couldn't get a guest. And I'm trying to get somebody in last minute today. A couple of people are doing lives as it is. So there are a lot of people out there are doing stuff. So a lot of people are busy. So right, let's just have a look and see what we've got Sue in there now. So let's bring in Sue and invite as co-host. So Sue's invited in. Good evening to Kim. Kim's watching us, and I'll bring in Sue. So, guys, before we go further, Jackie's poorly. Let's leave it at that. We wish her well and hope she recovers. A speedy recovery for Jack. I hope she's not worried too much about the upcoming court case, and that's probably playing on her mind. But at the end of the day, we're all behind her, and I'll be there for her on the 24th of the month. So, there's a couple of things I want to do. I've tried to invite Sue on, but I don't know what Sue's doing. I've got another one. I'll invite again as co-host. It should be she's here, right? So
I'm here.
Are you there? Gotcha. I'm just making apologies for Jackie saying the show must go on. So I've stepped into the hot seat just for tonight to help the show go along. If you want, you can take over and you can run the show completely yourself. It is your slot on a Friday and not mine. But if you want me to stay in the hot seat and you just...
No, you stay there.
I thought you were going to say that. I was watching something earlier on and I kind of like, I don't know, my head's spinning. It's all over the place. I don't know whether I'm coming or going, not sleeping well, things are happening, blah, 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 blah. Just all over the gaff. And then when you get up and it's cold mornings and all that, you think, you want to just throw the cover over you, back over you. Anyway, you can see, I don't know if you can just see from my top, but I've got the Scampton. So there we go. Look. There it is. RAF Scampton, the Action Group. So it's the Action hoodie. And there's the on there you've got the Vulcan bomber, the Lancaster bomber, and I don't know what that one is. There might be Red Arrow. Could possibly be a Red Arrow. Without really looking at it, didn't even think about that until I actually started talking about that. So I'm down there tomorrow. Just a quickie. You talk, sir, for a minute.
Hello, everyone. If anyone's here, I think they are. Hope you've all had a good week. Well, since Tuesday, anyway. Yeah. Poor Jackie's not well, so So the old girl worries up and gets better because I missed her. But don't tell her that. So, let's see who's in the room. Kim, you, just me and Kim.
And James is in there as well. Nice to see James in there. Nice to see James in there. Hi, James. Like a lot of the work you do, fella. You do some brilliant stuff. I do try and share some of it, but you put in so much. It's a minefield, and it's finding time, and I don't know how you find time to do it all. So, James, if you want to jump on, be a guest and jump on with pleasure, I'll invite you as a co-host in a second. Let's just so anyway, tomorrow, Sue, I'm gonna go to Scampton, RAF Scampton, Lincolnshire, and what I've done for me, because it is bloody cold out there, to say one for a better way of putting it, it's freezing. And them poor guys are standing out there in all weathers, right? With burn bins. I took them a couple of burn bins the other week so they can burn any piece of old pallets and stuff like that that's been donated to the camp, and bits of wood that anybody who gives them to the camp can have. So, but they have got everything. They've got the old army tent from Stridey Park in Clonetty. That's been donated to them. That's all up. They've done a kitchen and everything. They've done some brilliant work there. A lot of people have come together, done some sturdy work in the kitchen's absolutely amazing. And they've got settees and everything in there. People can go in there and sit comfortably. But when you're out in that cold, I think even with a bin burner, it gets bloody cold. and we know we've seen from pickets and protests all over the country over the years that the bin burns do come in handy just to give you a little bit of heat. You'll end up stinking like a sewer, or like you've been standing next to a bonfire all night, like November the 5th, by standing next to one. But what I said I'd do is they've got one of them blow heaters that runs off diesel and heats up. And to be honest with you, it's really, really good. So what I thought I'd do, I went out and bought, and that's a 10-litre can, a fuel can, 10 litres. I think it's 10 litres. Yeah, 10 litres. And I thought I'll go tomorrow, I'll fill it up with diesel, and I'll take it down to camp. And so they can use the heat. How long it lasts, I don't know. But if I'm doing my bit, every little bit helps. And if every individual went there, done a little bit, people can go there, have a cup of tea, chinwag, get have a little chat, show their appreciation to what everybody's doing. And basically, a lot of people have basically had enough of what's going on. I had a brilliant video earlier on that I wanted to put on. I didn't get time, but I took a leaf out of Spear's book, and by the way, thank you, Spear, for joining us tonight. I see Spear in the chat as well. I went on BitChute and I had a look, and I found a really good bit with Nigel Farage talking to a minister about basically broken Britain, and that's what it is, and the powers that be in this building behind me. So. Without further ado, I'm not going to go too much into the politics of everything. I'm going to see if James want to come. James, let me see if I can go into chat and see if James want to come. He might not want to come on, but what I'll do, guys, I'll invite him as a co-host. If he wants to come on, it's his choice. He doesn't have to. If he wants to come on, he's more than welcome to join us too, just to give us a little different side to what's going on, how he feels, because the guy is absolutely brilliant. I don't know if you ever noticed the chat in the wake up, and James is always putting stuff in there. He's quite good. Let me just I'll click on the three dots and I'll invite as a co-host. If he wants to come on, he's more than welcome. The more the merrier. And as I say, I'm only standing in as a co-host for Jackie tonight because Jackie's poorly. So we've invited James, and it's entirely if he unmutes himself in the mic and wants to join us, entirely up to him. And Sue, you can take the reins at any time you want to. It actually is yours and Jackie's show. My show's on a Wednesday, and I have got some guests. I have got some guests lined up, but unfortunately, sometimes with technical problems, what have you, it doesn't happen on the night. So, have you got anything to say before I invite James in and have a little chat? Go on, Sue.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about Scampton.
Yeah.
On the local page here this week, they had a big write-up about Northfire, the prison, old prison, where they're bringing 1,200 immigrants down.
Wow.
They've been local MP, whatever his name is a waste of space.
Yeah, well, we know that.
Invited us to a meeting to say how we feel. It doesn't matter how we feel because they're going to go ahead and do it and spend so many million on it. What about the people here?
Yeah, well, I said that earlier on in a post that I did about 2.2 million pensioners, heat or eat, or are they going to starve, or are they going to freeze to death? One or the other. How have we got to this situation in this country that we don't look after our very, very own? We never, ever, since we were children in Beecham and abusive children in Beecham, what has happened? Where's the remedy for us? What have they done for us as sovereign people of this land? What have they actually done for their own very own people? Our children to this very, very day are still being abused right across the country. The country's in a shit state. I don't care what we say. Everything's been sold off. The water utilities through the Thatcher years were sold at a £5 billion loss. Today they're worth £80 billion. Somebody's making money out of it. We can still afford to spend money to Ukraine. We can still send warships south from Portsmouth today to the Black Sea. We can still do all this Red Sea. Is it Red Sea or Black Sea? Red Sea. Red Sea. And we can still send, fight other people's wars or get involved or stick our nose in there. And then we have to suffer the consequences like we are now. And Scampton is going to up to 3,000 people. We're talking about 2,000 people, but it can hold up to 3,000. And there is numbers banding about that. And as you can see, I've got my Scampton t-shirt on, and there's the pictures from the camera like, of the aircraft that served Scampton so well, the RAF Vulcans, the Lancaster, and that's a story itself because Guy Gibson's dog, which again is another subject, because if we talk about the dog, are we racist? Because it was called a certain name because of its colour. But anyway, so let me just bring in James, because he's waiting patiently to get in. And of course, me going off at 10 to the dozen, as Spear will tell you. James, thank you for coming on.
Okay, thank you for inviting me.
Well, you're very, I see some of the stuff that you put on, and you're very, very awake. And you see a lot of stuff, and you're like us, basically. And, you know, as you can see from my backdrop, it's called Westmonster, and it's Westmonster for a reason, because to me it's Paedophile Palace and the centre of a lot of the child abuse. And when you talk about Dolphin Square, the Elms Guest House, all of that, I have great knowledge of as a cab driver in London and so on and so forth. I'm not going to go into that because I drive everywhere and I can tell you a lot of things, like many people. And because of what me and Sue went through, Sue, 13 to 14, because of the abuse she saw in the kids' home that we were in together, and we've known each other 55 years, and we're testament to the horrific and historic child abuse that's been going on in this country for eons, and satanic abuse, if you want to go down that road. But it's just horrific, and nothing ever gets done for the people of this country. And like I said, I don't know if you caught that, 2.2 million of our own pensioners are either heating or eating. It's one or the other. They can either eat or heat. So anyway, Sophie's joined us. Hi, Sophie. I'll go to James. James, just give us a little bit of an insight into your background. What woke you, or have you just been and seen things that, you know, kind of like, you're so awake, it's unbelievable, like Sophie, like Spear, like Sue, and myself. Just give us a little bit of an insight and tell us a little bit about yourself. And what actually, was there anything prominent that stood out that started thinking, hang on, this is wrong? And then it was like almost like the domino effect.
Yeah, I just want to skim across, you know, a little bit of history about me, because I was born here in Wales, in Cardiff. Yeah. And I was export quality, I tell people, and I was sent to Africa.
Yeah,
you know, as a child, and I was brought up in Zimbabwe.
I can hear the accent.
Yeah, I stayed there for 49 years. People think I'm South African. I'm not. I'm from Southern Africa, yes, but I'm from Zimbabwe. I was brought there. I was brought up there 49 years. It's a different country.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. We know about it. I knew people that went there. Cool. How many years ago? A long time ago. Probably, maybe even 40 years ago. And it was probably a different country then.
Yeah, I was there in the 50s. So yeah, I'm 69 now. I'm a pensioner.
Yeah. Myself.
Anyway, just to get on, I don't want to waste people's time too much, but just a little bit of knowledge. And I went through the Rhodesian thing. It wasn't a racial thing. It was economics. People get the wrong idea about Zimbabwe. Yes, we had racist people there from both sides, even in the mixed color sides and that. But we got on relatively well, you know. And people think that, like the BBC has projected, that Zimbabwe or Rhodesia was racist. But the thing is, Smith couldn't bring in any African guys because they weren't qualified. They had to educate themselves and get themselves in place, and you know, start developing themselves. I mean, you can't just give. And they had to go through the process of education, because remember, when whites got there, the blacks were uneducated and they were a bit downtrodden. But Smith was sort of developing it anyway. So I enjoyed the time with Smith, although that it looked like the blacks were being downtrodden. But, you know, you got the upper class, middle classes and things like that in life. And unfortunately, the majority of them were the lower class, you know, the poorer. But they were sponsored by the government. You know, they never starved. They got food and that. But anyway, I was in the military there for 4 years in the war.
Yeah.
We had blacks in the army. I've got a video where blokes putting a lot of propaganda out, but he slips up this BBC reporter and he says there's 8 black soldiers to 1 white in the Rhodesian army. Now, does that sound like a racist war?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were fighting communism, which was China and Russia,
Yeah.
and the Western backers, because they wanted to put in this.
What's changed?
Huh?
What's changed?
Yeah, they wanted to put in their own stooge. You know, even Mugabe didn't win the elections. I met a pilot in the pub one night. I was a bit 3 seats to the wind, mind you. And this guy slid up next to me, shortish guy. And he said, hi. So, you know, us being very friendly in that country, a bit naive as well in that, because we trusted each other, you know. But he said, hi. And I introduced myself, and he said, do you know who I am? So I said, no. I don't know why he came out straight with it, but he turned around and said, I'm the pilot that dumped all Muzorewa's votes in the sea. Muzorewa won the election, but Mugabe was put in. I've got no evidence of this except my word. But, you know, I wouldn't mention it if it was crap. But anyway, you know, so I did quite a lot. I was in the farm areas a lot during the farm invasions. But it's a big story there for that sort of thing. But
I know where you're coming from, because a lot of the whites did do a lot of farming in. I know kind of a lot of the history, and like you said about Zimbabwe and Ceylon, formerly what they called them like Rhodesian and Ceylon, Sri Lanka. The name changed. We were around about the same time when they were starting to through our colonialism, basically, and. You know, and I know about the farming, but it's kind of like turned full circle, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, what happened was Mugabe's money went missing when his wife died, Sally.
Yeah.
And
what a very nice man, by all. Whether it's propaganda or not, you'll be able to tell it straight.
He had no money. You'll see. As soon as she died, the first flight he took was to Ghana. That's where his money was, in his wife's bank account, hidden away, which he had pilfered. And what happened was he killed her. He beat her up so badly she ended up on the dialysis machine.
Horrible, man.
So you can see where this revenge thing's coming in. And she put all her money into the family, and the family dissipated it. You know, it just. And when his first flight there, and he went there, and they said, no, there's no money. Yeah. That's why he was such an angry man. He became a very angry man, and he was demanding from the British to pay for the farming. He was holding the farmers as hostages.
You know that, let me just come in a second, James. That sort of ringtones to not only the corruption in South Africa, but the corruption in this country. Because whatever people think and say, we know it goes on. 21 billion pounds has gone missing, hypothetically. Well, let's just look into some of this now. And hang on a minute, Rishi Sunak and his wife has got offshore accounts out of the country. Oh my God, am I talking off my head? All right.
I have to laugh, else I'll go mad, you know, at this. But anyway, you see what happened there. The British wanted him to destroy the farming that I can see, because it was a breadbasket of the world, of that particular zone. So now you can see the New World Order, you know, because they want to destroy the food supply, make people dependent on the ruling party, you know, ZANU-PF for food, things like that. It was like a mini experiment of what they're doing now. Yeah.
Yeah, Sophia
in a more democratic way, in a more democratic way, where you know, Mugabe was bludgeoning the people in the streets and things like that, and arresting people. But anyway, that's. I've only got this since I've been here, back here. because I came back here because I had enough there. I got divorced and my wife left, and I ended up with my children, and uh, I used to go up to the Copperbelt, which is just by the Congo there. I used to travel by car, which is fairly scary because you had the war in that area, spilling over from the Congo. But I had to make money, foreign currency, in order to have a little bit of a keepsake in case we had to gap it out of Zimbabwe in a rush, because I was a British passport holder. I'm ex-military. I had all the makings of a spy, in Mugabe's eyes in those days. So I just thought, no, it's time to get out of here. And whilst I was away in 2005, I think it was January or February, I was up at the Copperbelt. My children were staying with some family, my ex-wife's sister, on a plot, and they were attacked with armed weapons and things, and bullets were flying, and my kids were in the cupboard. I didn't know anything about it, but I had a feeling when I was in, something's not right. A day or so later, I got a call saying, "Hey, listen, everything's calm. I'm just telling you what's happened." And I said, "Okay, that's fine." I said, "I'll finish this trip if everything's okay." And then I went back, resigned. I only had about $800 US. I thought, well, that's it. Sold everything what I had, and just bought us tickets and came here.
See, people don't understand kind of like when you're at your lowest of your low, when you haven't got anything, when you have to. We are strange human beings. How we kind of like, in some respects, the survival mode kicks in, and you have no option, no choice, but you either put up or shut up. You either get on with it and do it, or you sink or swim. Kind of them metaphors or whatever you want to say. I'm just going to, for a second, just bring in Sue because she's listening in the background. And to be fair, it's Sue and Jackie Slaughter. Right. So, Sue, this is James. James, Sue.
Hi,
hello,
Sue.
James. You all right?
I'm fine, thanks.
Good.
Is there anything you want to ask James, Sue, or do you want to put a question to him where we got? And I'll bring the chat in a minute because we've got some great people in the chat. And we've got 11 people in the chat tonight, which is very, very good. I will share this after and put it out on the internet to a wider audience. So, is there anything you want to ask James, Sue?
Well, no, I was just thinking, God, I could never live like that, with the war and everything, and your kids there scare the life out of me. You're one brave man, because there's no way I'd do it.
Well, you had the problems with Mugabe trying to rub up I think he used to call them the green bombers or the brown bombers. What were the ones in the Germany called? Green bombers?
I'm not too sure.
They used to cross on people and
I'll put a chat on anybody in the chat.
Sorry?
Yeah, carry on, James. Sorry.
He had these guys there. So, it was in the back of my mind. And being a single parent, I thought to myself, wow, every 6 weeks I have to get out of the country. But I was only going there to earn enough to get here.
James, there's a really good comment just come in. Let me just say this. Spearfro's put a lovely comment in it, right up your street. It always goes the same way. They reclaim the farmland by killing the farmers. Then there is famine because they can't farm. Then they ask for handouts and they beg for the return of farmers like Zimbabwe. Does that sum it up a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I used to go up to Zambia, like I say, to the Copperbelt and deal with the big open cast mines. And I've been down in the mines. I've traveled in the bush to diamond mines, and it's quite cagey because you could go around the corner and find a Congolese rebel there because it spills over. But anyway, life's full of gambles. I mean, I was in the war for 4 years.
I mean, it's difficult. I mean, okay, so when you went out into South Africa in the 50s, and because at one stage it was called White Rhodesia.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And and I know I've known people that have actually gone there, and I think I know somebody that went as a nurse to, I think it might have even been Johannesburg Hospital. I'm just thinking, going back, because talking to you, I'm kind of like going back into time and thinking of what you're saying. And when you're talking about Mugabe and so on and so forth, it's stuff that we know about. And some of the guys that we're talking about is some of the, I mean, the Somalis are very, very vicious, very, 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 whatever word I'm trying to think of. They're a tough, they'd sooner chop you in half than probably shake hands with you. But you've got some more or less tribal, in some respects, kind of African areas that you are in. And they are very kind of, would it be right to say tribal?
Rivalry. Yeah. Come on, man, you get it, yeah. I mean, I moved from one area to another one, and they say, oh, you're from there. We don't like people from there. And I think, well, what the, I'm used to when we were in, when I lived in Zimbabwe, if we got a next door neighbor, we're going to introduce ourselves and welcome them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tend to shun you away as if you're some sort of disease.
Yeah.
That's what I've found here. Maybe it's just me, maybe.
Was that difficult, though? I mean, you're living in a strange country. You've given up so much to go to a strange country, a complete unique new world, and a different environment, different everything. I mean, God, you could be taken for a bloody snack at any time by the wildlife, let alone the people that actually live there.
Yeah. It was hard me learning the culture here in Wales.
Yeah.
Because I was so used to the culture in Zimbabwe. You see what I mean? There's cultures in cultures.
Yes, it's weird actually you should say that, because I've just come back from Wales. I've been there over Christmas, and I've got a friend that's actually in the chat, Kim, and she lives there now in Llanelli. And I got part of the Llanelli Stradi Park Hotel protests, was filming and doing a lot of stuff down in Stradi. And Home Office gave in the end. But and as you can see, I've got the Scampton hoodie on now, which I'm at Scampton, funny enough, tomorrow. And I go all over the country talking, about my child abuse, going to protests, doing some filming, because I do like me videoing. I do like me filming. I do like filming it. I do like giving a perspective. And sometimes people ask me to speak, and sometimes I'm invited to go all around the country and do these things, which I do freely, because I like, we have to make a stand one way or the other. One person, right, is like a swift. One swift or swallow one is not going to make a summer. One person is not going to change the whole thing.
Alan,
you're going to.
I've been so surprised, because when we had that problem with Mugabe in Zimbabwe, we weren't allowed to participate in the debate at all, between about the farmers or about Mugabe, how he's misruling, because we were white Rhodesians and we were British to him. You're British, You're always on the
Your African came out there.
Huh?
Your African came out there. You're British.
Yeah, I lived there 49 years, man.
Yes,
I used to run in the bush. As a kid, I used to run in the bush with Africans. I had African friends. I had very few white friends.
Yeah.
I used to, because I just couldn't tolerate the whites, friends.
Wow.
And I used to run the bush, Jock of the Bushveld, man. Go and swim in rivers in the Nick and all sorts.
Very interesting. Let me just run something to you, and we'll come back a little bit more about Africa and today's what's happening in Africa, and we'll talk about how Africa is with the COVID. So let me just put something to you. I saw this interview where, and Spiro probably know exactly what I talk, because he goes on BitChute all the time. And Nigel Farage was interviewing a politician, and they were talking about the Rwanda thing and the human rights aspect and so on and so forth, and how the Tories want to get away with the Human Rights Act and so on and so forth. Well, at the end of the day, it's going to be very, very difficult because it's conventional law, and we are one of the main countries that sign up to all these conventions right across the world. When a convention comes out, we are one of the first. Yeah. Whether we adhere to it is a completely another thing. And what stands out in my mind is, okay, you want to do away with the human rights, but so where's our human rights in all of this? If you're going to look at one perspective for one, then you have to look at it for everybody. If this charter or conventional law in human rights, where you have the right to free protest, the right to free speech, and the right to roam freely, if that is allowed, it's got to be right for everybody. If you're going to take that away, hypothetically, if you're using a case scenario like immigration or illegal immigration, and you're going to put people in Rwanda and so on like that, and you're going to take all these human rights away from them so you can do it, what happens to our human rights? Because you know as well as I do, they don't adhere to it as it is now. The police are a law unto themselves. The judges are like revenue collectors because all it is gaining in the money. I don't need to go into too much about it because you are quite well clued up in all of this.
Well, I stand under common law.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn. If people want to call it a farce, it's a farce. But, you know, there are laws, and those laws must be adhered to. And that brings in our inalienable rights, God's law, common law, whatever you want to call it. I look at it as God's law because, you know, where do you get born with the only animal on this earth that pays to live? I mean, where do you get born free and then get tied up with a birth certificate? You know. It's just it's a. So I stand under common law, and I'm also standing under rebellion, Article 61. Yeah, I've gone that far because I believe you've got to do everything possible democratically, peacefully. So if these things are there, we've got to get behind it. If we don't get behind that, then we can't enforce it. And people need to get behind it in numbers. And then we can enforce this Article 61, because these guys in power here, I mean, I saw this when I got here. I just listened to one or two MPs and I said, these guys are going for a dictatorship. And through Brexit and communication and on Facebook, I was telling people you are heading towards a dictatorship because I heard the language and how they weren't responding to the people. And that's exactly what was happened, but a bit quicker in Zimbabwe. It's a drip feed. You know, they're just slowly eating away like a cancer. And the New World Order is the same. They're doing the same. But although they're starting to rush it a bit now. But
James, let me jump in because we only have an hour. We've got about half an hour left on the show. We have to stick to.
And I don't want to take up too much time.
I know. We have to stick to a time limit. But you're more than welcome to come on my show any day. We'll get you back on my show on a Wednesday because you're a very interesting chap. But how, as like we talk about the New World Order, we talk about, you know, it's brilliant what you're saying, and I hear, and I am for the Magna Carta 2015. I think the American Constitution stems from our common law, and to this very, very day is still part of our common law. The Scottish law and the Arbroath Agreement or principle or a document that was formed for Scotland in 1300s is a different kind of common law, but it is the same in most respects.
Yeah, so, I've registered with common law, John Smith, but I believe there is some clouds above there. But I'm not interested in that because the law's the law. If that's the common law court and it's registered like that, then I'm going to register with them and I'm going to declare my birth certificate and everything and make my oath there. And then when I come up against legal, I can say, hey, I'm registered with the common law.
Yeah.
And, you know, if they say, oh, but John Smith is, I say, I don't care. I'm registered with the law. And the same.
What you have to think about now, James, you know, what's legal anymore? I mean, is it legal or is it regulatory? Is it regulated? Is our laws now all regulated by this building behind us? Are there regulators writing out these laws that another government can go in there, if we ever find one, that can go in this building and change everything this government has done? They can wipe it out tomorrow.
You see what they do? They use the police to enforce their guidance.
Yeah, we see protests all over the place.
Statutes and instruments are all guidance. You select which one you want to go with. They can't force you to go with it.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware. you
Without
know,
consent.
from common law sort of thing, because it's
You-
not lawful, it's legal.
Yeah, bang on. I love the way you're talking, and I love the way about consent. It's down to consent. You know, when
Yes.
there's no harm, no loss, no injury. I can't. I've had this. I was in London only a few months back, and a copper nicked somebody in the pen. They were disambling, they were taking it to pieces, and they went in there with a clean broom. We could go on because then Viola came in, that private company, French company, blah blah blah, and it's kind of snowballs from the politics of this place behind us. But I said to this copper, I said, "What you nicked him for?" He said, "Breach of the peace." And I turned around and said, "Whose peace did he breach?" Like that to this copper.
Now, where's evidence?
And this copper turned around and said to me, "He spat at me, sir. He spat at me." I said, "Well, you're talking about a completely different kind of law that you have arrested him on. And if you're talking about him spitting at you, it's assault on persons. Your case or his case should not stand in a court of law." He turned around and walked away from me. And this is what we've got. We've got these police officers that are in London. I don't know about London, all over it. I've seen it in David Powell, seen it in Wells. So I've seen it in Clonettley, the way the police have been there. I've seen it in Manchester, GMP. I've seen it in the Met in London. And they don't realise they can be replaced.
Yeah, but you don't realise as well, Alan. I remember Cameron, I think even Blair started purging the police. They started purging the police and getting rid of all the guys that were, you know, okay, everybody's got a bit of a skeleton in the cupboard, but these guys would enforce the law according to the law. And they purged them. And now these guys that they brought out now, because while they were purging there, they were saying, no, we've got to get rid of blah, blah, blah. They were recruiting. I saw a recruitment drive happening. They were recruiting. And they brought in police now that don't know the law. They just basically thugs. You know, unfortunately, not all of them, but the ones that are still in the police there that are not doing anything are just towing the line. You know,
I don't know if you, James, I don't know if you can see, because underneath your screen, you've got like where you can mute yourself with your microphone, your camera, you can turn that off. I can end the stream. Then you've got a share option, a hand. If somebody wants to speak, they put their hand up normally as a guest. But then you go across and you've got the time at where we're on. Then we've got a little kind of like bubble. That is the chats. So people who put comments in are putting comments in there. And it says the people, there's two bodies there, and it shows the amount of people that are watching the show live in kind of the Wake Up Forum. So I don't know if you can see the chats, and Sophie's put in some brilliant comments, and Sophie's really, really on the money.
Yeah, I didn't want to take my focus off you, Alan. Sorry.
Yeah, no. You'll find I can still. Don't worry about me. I can talk to the cows come home.
You know, if you wanted to bring up anything,
tell you that for next to nothing. And she just says, yes, I've always said exactly that we are a creature paying taxes to live, and we are supposed to be civilized. I call that nuts. And that summons so much of what's going on in this very, very world and very day. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I lived in Zimbabwe, or Rhodesia was relatively cheap compared to the UK. And where you got good quality food and, you know, really good. You didn't have all these glyphosates and things like that, and good quality veggies. But anyway, where was I going with that?
I'm sorry, I just saw something in the chat and I just laughed. So if you see me laughing, it's nothing to do with you. It's Spear Thrower having a moment. And we have these moments, but we're kind of like a little bit serious tonight in the sense we're talking more politics than anything else. With Jackie, she throws in a bit of everything, and we have a little bit of a laughter, and a few guys jump on. And sometimes we try and take the politics rubbish out of what we do mainly in the week, because, you know, we live in such. Every time do I turn the television on as much as in actual fact, I don't turn the telly on as much as I used to. I spend more probably time on my phone, which is probably another bad thing, right, than television, television, as we would probably call it. And I then watch the news, because even when I thought was changing was GB News and Farage and the rest of the guys. I thought that was going to be something different. And I saw a politician come there, and he was in an interview today. And what did he come out with? The old chestnut, the COVID. the COVID pandemic. And I thought to myself, oh, here we go.
You know,
I've had a really bad flu this winter. All right, I then got to the hospital because they would have wanted to stick a vial in my fucking arm.
yeah, or otherwise something down your throat, you know what I mean? And then a bit of midazolam to follow, you know? And then off you go. Yeah, I'm a bit reluctant. You know, I go to the doctor to see how well he is. You know, when I go there, he says, "What can I do?" I said, "No, I'm just come to see if you're all right." You know,
because it's weird because I went to the doctors and they said, "Oh, have you had the COVID injection?" I said, "No, I'm one of them." Oh,
Yeah.
have you? Yeah, and they're trying to talk to you, and I said, "Well, you know, show me, you know, what's in the." And she's trying to change the subject. She didn't want to give me the piece of paper to show me what the ingredients of was. Not being medically qualified, or a scientist, or a bio fucking pharmacist, or whatever the case might be, I couldn't tell what was in that anyway because the fucking words would be like reading fucking nuclear science.
Well, you ask them. You said to them, "Well, what's that one there?" And they just says, "I don't know." You say, "Well, look it up on the computer. Put it into Google. Let's have a look." And then you educate them that way.
Yeah.
And then they see hey, what's that one? You know what I mean? But you know, I went to my doctor.
Excuses, James. They would turn around and say, if you try to go down that road, they turn around and say, "Well, my time is limited. I've got a time slot where I can only fit in. There are people in the waiting room waiting to come in to see me, blah, 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 blah." And it's like that copper in thing walked away. She'd probably walk away or turn it around and say, "I've got another person waiting in the waiting room." The trouble is we are so of this mindset now that a lot of people have been completely brainwashed. I've got two Sues. Sue's gone out and come back in. Are you all right, Sue?
She's ganging up on us.
Yeah, Sue, I got you twinning in again. Are you all right?
When I touched it, it went off.
Right, so are you okay? Do you want to say anything? Do you want to add anything, Sue? It is your Friday night slot. Go on, add something, Sue. Or ask James something.
I've already asked James. I just find it, sitting here listening, find it very interesting, you know, taking it all in.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
you know what I'm like.
Is that it?
Yes, dear.
Okay. Right, so anyway, how would you say, how has COVID gone in Africa as such? I mean, is it kind of like similar to what the UK is, being there for that period of time? Have you seen what's happening? Are they forcing it in the sense that they're virtually doing it as, you know, comply or deny kind of thing with health services in Africa?
I've got contact with my sister who's in, well, my half sister who's living in, I don't know, somewhere in South Africa.
Yeah.
Anyway, and she's thinking about coming here because she used to work on the ships, you know, the big liners. But yeah, I think I'm not too sure. You know, I'm reluctant to ask people if they've had the jab or whatever, you know.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like you say, if people want to roll their sleeve up, if people want to roll their sleeve up and stick the jab in their arm, that is their life.
Yeah, in the beginning, I was out and talking to people. But now that they've had the jab, I'm sort of like now sympathizing, you know, and saying, well, what can I do to help these people, you know, because they've made a bad decision. They trusted the people that should be trusted, although they shouldn't really be trusted ever, politicians. So
how does that put? So let's just put this question to you.
They've been sucker punched.
How does that put the kind of like NHS, the doctors, the nurses, and so on? I mean, these guys are from probably they've got to pay a mortgage, they've got to pay their bills, they go to work to live basically, and they're going to work and they're administrating what they're told to do. Kind of like, are we back into the Nuremberg trials here? Or I was only doing my job. Is that an excuse? At the end of the day, these are lovely people, young people, whatever the case might be, met some brilliant people that are in the NHS and they're a nurse. But has it got a situation today where all the people that work in it are kind of like boss and controlled?
Yeah, well, the point is, the way I look at it, that there's got to be a cutoff point to who's responsible. And just hold those people that held the stick, you know, the stick to beat the slaves, because a lot of people, you know, they wouldn't ask really questions because, again, trust, you know, and you know, when someone betrays you like that with trust, it's hard to admit that you've been betrayed. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, James, but let me just go back into the chat. And it's not a go at any particular thing, but it's poignant in the sense that Sophie's just put in there, anyone with a brain would always ask questions, because I am kind of like that myself. I don't know about a brain. One brain cell soon will tell you that I've got. But I tend to ask questions. I will always turn around and be inquisitive of anything. Kind of like I look for eye contact more than I look for anything else when people are talking to me, because I can't stand these people that are looking all over the place and not directly at you, because they're not that interested, if that makes any kind of sense at all. And you know, Spears put there. Yeah, there's lots of questions in the chat. It says only the jab get offended if you ask questions, but I mean, I know where you're coming from and say. You then ask questions, people, but you have to ask questions, don't you? So Sue's put her hand up. Sue wants to say. Let Sue say something.
Well,
go on, Sue.
I'm just saying about the jab. You know, Jean, 80. She's 84 this year. She was refusing the jab, but until they said she couldn't visit her husband in the care home unless she'd had the jab. Now, how evil is that?
That's blackmail.
Yeah. She stood out against it. She weren't having it. Unless she had the jab, she couldn't see her husband.
You know, they've broken every law that protects us.
Yeah. I mean, when I was in hospital, my heart, a nurse came in to talk to my daughter, and she said to me, have you had the jab? I said, no, and I'm not having it. And she said to my daughter, have you had it? She said, well, I've had two, because she's works in a care home. And the nurse said the same as me. She said, but I won't be having no more. My daughter said, no, well, I said, well, I'm not having none. So, you know, but even the nurses are turning now, you know.
But at the end of the day, sir, as much as you say that even the nurses are turning now, they are still worried about, kind of like we're in a situation now where it's very, very cold. People have to put the heat in, and they've got no option, you know. And like our pensioners eat all fucking heat.
I haven't got mine on.
I know what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying. At the end of the day, people don't have a choice anymore.
No.
It's comply or deny. In us going to the NHS, it's the same. I'd be frightened to go to the dentist and they say, well, I'm going to numb you all back too because you've got to have an extraction or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm frightened of what that vial might actually contain. I know that might sound complete and absolutely nuts, but that's the trust that I have in what is supposed to be the National Health Service.
And
I don't make any pots and pans anymore.
Are they going to fill your tooth with the right stuff? You know what I mean? Or is it going to be some poisonous thing like that?
But that goes for anything, though. You've got to go for an epidural or whatever the case might be. Whatever they want to give you in the form of injection, and that injection comes walking towards you, do you think to myself, oh, hang on a minute, all you got to have this will help with your such and such? But are we got to the stage there that we want to kill people off?
Yeah, of course I am.
Yeah.
That's why they give it to old people in the care homes.
You know, when in 2019 Christmas time, I went down with bad influenza. I'm not really into viruses. I'm more a terrain theory guy. You know, I think that's why they can't cure the common cold, because it's your body detoxing. Simple. You know, your body should be able to mend everything. If you know, I mean, we've been given this body. Do you think these things haven't been thought of? You know what I mean?
There are natural remedies anyway, and Sophie will.
You know, so I use a lot of natural remedies. Like I could hardly breathe, and I was coughing, and my ribs were like, it felt like they were broken. And I thought to myself, my son was arguing with me. I said, "Listen, can't I die peacefully, man?" And you know, and I got onto my bed. But then then I started doing a bit of research, and I found if I use turmeric, a teaspoon of turmeric, a teaspoon of grated fresh ginger, and a teaspoon of proper honey, true honey, and you put hot water in it, and then you mix it and you drink that. And I drank that in the evening before I went to bed. And when I woke up, I gargled with Himalayan pink salt and hot water, warm water, before I went to bed, and when I woke up in the morning, to break the mucus up in the nasal passage, that sort of thing, because that's where the infection all starts there. Yeah. And you can understand.
Use oranges and lemons and honey and stuff like that. And there are other stuff out there that you can use. And Sophie is brilliant when she talks about this subject, because she knows her stuff, and she's actually just put something up brilliantly in the chat. And I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, I just put it in the chat room, and it's very, very true in actually what she said. So, if we're on the 7th or 8th jab, and the first one didn't work, why?
It's funny, isn't it? I mean, if it didn't work the first time, why are you taking the 8th?
Yeah, that's what I would say. If the first one didn't work, and if they're saying, why have we got to the stage where in 2023, 2024, or 2019, it all started, this malarkey? Why have we got to a stage, but a certain period in time, or the 21st century, we've got to turn around and say to people, you've got to have a jab every 6 months or every 3 months at this rate.
Yeah.
Right? You've got to have a jab every 3 months because the first jab you had wasn't enough. So if you didn't die from the first one, let's try the second one. If that doesn't kill you, let's try the third one. If somebody suffered 7 or 8 jabs, they need either we need to take something from their body that tells us that they're immune to this toxin, or it's still building up in their body, and one day something will happen to them off the planet. I mean, at the end of the day, their head might just bloody explode.
Yeah, no, I've been watching some videos. I think I put one up today. People discussing what's going to happen in 2024. I took a little BitChute, and they were talking about what's going to happen. And that's why they're bringing up these fake pandemics now, to account for the deaths that's going to happen from the jab. So it's a cover. So they just keep on rolling these pandemics out and saying, oh, we're under extreme attack. Meanwhile, it's a jab. And they're giving other people jabs. And those that are, start to get a bit skittish. We must just tell them, piss off. Yeah. Go away.
Yeah. But the controlling factor is taking over, because there are people who need tablets for this and tablets for that. Before all this malarkey, some of these tablets did help with certain ailments. And people are still needing to take different types of forms of medicines for either, like Sue, with her heart and so on and so forth. And Sue probably takes a bucket full of medicines anyway with what they've actually done to her.
27 a day.
Yeah, see, 27 tablets a day. I mean, God, you rattle.
But one of them tablets isn't registered. It's called Mexilatin. It's really hard to get. They can't get it. You have to buy it in, and it costs an awful lot of money to get that, but because it's not registered.
But not being funny, Sue, I love you to pieces and I respect you immensely. But even when they tell you something, does it mean it's true?
No. I mean, they put me on this other tablet called amiodarone, right? Now, since then they found out I've got underactive thyroid.
Yeah.
But the amiodarone reacts with the tablet for the thyroid.
Yeah.
So I had a hospital doctor, my heart doctor, phone me up and say that I've got to ring my doctor up and ask them to take me off the amiodarone and put my thyroid tablet up. So I phoned the surgery, told them, and my doctor said, no, I'm not having that. She said, your thyroid's fine you carry on with the amiodarone, which confused me to hell. So in the end, I stopped taking the amiodarone, and I must admit I feel a lot better. And then I had an endocrinologist phone me up
Yep.
to sort things out. And I told him, he said, no, I'm glad you've come off the amiodarone. You know, for my doctor was willing to keep me on it. So now I am trying to come off a lot of my tablets.
So, Sue, can I get this right in my mind? You started off with one, and you're taking other things because of other reactions.
No, because I've got. I'll tell you what, you think I was an hypochondriac. I've got so many things wrong with me.
Sorry to hear that, Sue.
That's all right. I mean, you've survived, didn't you? Yeah, the reaction with the thyroid tablet and the amiodarone, and I did have a reaction. As you know, I was always tired, and that wasn't to do with my thyroid. But since I've come off it, I feel a lot better in myself. I'm doing more.
I've heard that a lot of times, Stu, when people say that they've come off certain drugs, so they've been told to take them by the supposed to be qualified people that are there because they've studied and got to university and got degrees, and they are the people with the likes of a Mr. or a Mrs. or whatever, in the field that they're in, and the pharmaceuticals and everything else, the whole lot, blah, 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 blah. You put trust in. You think these people are there for your benefit. But at the end of the day, they have come a part of the killing machine. I'm sorry to say that.
When I got breast cancer, I was on HRT, right? And the doctor, when I went to see her about it, she said it was the HRT that caused it. You know, so they've given me something that's supposed to work for me, you know, the HRT, and it didn't. It caused cancer.
With all these drugs and stuff that they're giving people, with all this stuff with the COVID and some of it with the virus or whatever the case might be, or the viruses, whatever they want to call them, whatever virus, if a virus is a virus, when it's a virus, not a virus, when it is a virus. I don't know. It's all mumbo jumbo to me.
It's all computer models. There's no proof of a virus. It's influenza. Influenza is from your body. Yeah. Your body's detoxing. Allow it to detox. You can suppress it a bit. Take some turmeric, which is an antibiotic. Take some, some ginger, which is good, and for your lungs. And take some honey. That does all the world of good. And if you take that, you'll be out of influenza within a few days.
I've got to come in, James, because we're nearly at the end of the show. Sophie's just put something up in the chat to you. She just put some messages in the chat. I don't know if you can see the chat, but Sophie's put a couple of messages in. We're nearly at the end of the time, guys. We're coming up to 58 minutes. Nearly the hour slot has come up. Thank James for coming on brilliantly, James. Really added something special to the show. It's absolutely been. Sue, thank you for, as always, been a lifelong friend, and thank you for everything you do. Thank you for putting up with me for all these years.
I need thanks for that. God,
you need some drugs for that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I do.
I'll be more than willing to come on and talk about it. I've got so much I can talk about.
Well, listen, when I'm struggling,
you think I'm
bear in mind, I do a show on a Wednesday. My slot is on Wednesday, 8 till 9 o'clock. You can always reach out to me through Wake Up and ask me to even get in touch with you or whatever the case might be. But you can join me any Wednesday night. If you come into the chat, I'm there. If I see you in there, I'll probably bring you on because you've got so much knowledge. You've got so much inside information. I love the guys in the chat. I love the Sophies. I love the spear throwers. I love every single person that's in the chat tonight because they've all got something to offer. And the chat wouldn't be part of the show if I didn't engage with it. I have to look at the chat. I have to look into the chat. I have to get them guys involved. Sue, you put your hand up. Go on.
I just want to wish Jackie well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Jackie's show is normally on a Friday night. I've stood in as a host tonight, just as a standing host for tonight. And as I say, I do the show on Wednesday. But we wish Jackie all the best. We hope she's okay. She's not worrying about too much. She hasn't got too mind. She knows that me and Sue are at the end of the phone. She can reach out to us anytime. The guys all love and respect her in the chat. And the Wake Up unit as a whole are only wishing. But I have to turn around and finally give you a couple of seconds each just to say a final few words, not go into too much detail. James, how do you want to end the show? Thank you for coming on, by the way. Do you want to just end it up in a quick summary?
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. And I'm willing to come on again. There's so much I can talk about, especially looking after your health and not so much the wealth. It's just remembering to come to be available to come on here because old timers are setting in here. And I get distracted.
Alan's got that too.
I get distracted with other things, and then
I know. But at the end of the day, Sue could have done the show tonight, and I could have had a day off. But that was a little, yeah. She loves me to pieces. I can throw bloody rocks at her, and she'd still bounce back.
And throw them back at you.
Thank you to Kim. Thank you to Sophie. Thank you to Roy. I did see Roy's name in there somewhere. I'm sorry. I didn't catch that. Everybody's joining us. You had over 11 in the chat tonight, so thank you to every single one of you. And I have to end the show, guys, because we're at the hour.
Something to James, please.
Sorry?
Can I just say something to James? James, are you friends with Sean Morris?
No, I've never met him. I know of him.
He's brilliant with medicine, alternative medicine. He makes everything. You should add him on Facebook.
Quite brilliant with everything, isn't he?
Yeah, he is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Right, guys. So thank you very much. We have to end the show over the hour. We've gone 1 hour and 2 minutes over. I love to would talk on and go on and on and on, but Jay is restricted to what he can actually put out there in costs. So at the end of the day,
tell us whether he's got a new girlfriend or not, doesn't he?
Yeah. Okay. So it is strange how you talk when the show's ending.
All right, speak to you later. Love you.
All right.
I'll try and see you on Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, James. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you, guys. Love and respect to every single one.
Bye.